Everyone, it's Julia. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have a little sewing project going on, a little bit of a Valentine's design. I'm making a little zipper pouch, and there's a few things that I'm going to be doing, and I have my supplies all laid out here, and all of them will be listed down below. But I had a viewer who asked me whether I've ever used the Pilot Frixion pens on fabric to trace designs, and I had not. And I'm hoping that some of you learned something today too. I'm probably the last one to the party, which I usually am, but if you haven't heard, I'm hoping that you learned something. So we will be using the Frixion pens by Pilot. I'm also going to be adding some color to my design once I FreeMotion it on, and for that I'm going to be using my Inktense watercolor pencils. I'm going to be activating the color with the golden GAC 900 fabric medium. I'm going to be using a scrubber brush, and again, all this is going to be listed down below. The fabrics that I am using today are, I have 2 pieces of white denim, two pieces, oops, got an extra one there, 2 pieces of batting, and these measure 9 across, 6 down. I have a couple other little pieces that I've of fabric from my scrap that I'm going to be using just to embellish this with and add some more fabric, more color to it. I do have a piece too that I have cut for my strap, and this is 2 inches by 14 inches. My zipper is thrifted, but it matched quite well, and so I picked it out of my drawer, and this is longer than I need, but you need a zipper that's I would say at least 10-11 inches long. You want it longer than your bag. It just works easier to cut it off. So that is the basics of my supplies. This little thing is something that I believe it's made by Darice, and I believe it used to be sold for embossing, but I use it, it's like a light source or a light box. It turns on and you can see through it a little bit better. Now I can see through this denim anyway, but through the light box I can really see through it, so I'll be able to trace my design easier. So that is what that is sitting there. But I want to show you these pens before I start tracing, just so you can get an idea of how really cool they are. There's 7 different colors of the pens, and you can draw whatever you want on your piece. I'm just going to, let's say I want to do my name. Once I get to the sewing machine, with my FreeMotion, draw my letters. So when you're done sewing, you can simply just take your iron and go over the top, and it completely disappears. What I really love also about these pens is that they go on really smooth. They just glide over the fabric. Sometimes it's hard to mark fabric. It's hard to find a pen that really does a good job of it. These work awesome. So my first step is going to be tracing my design. I'm going to be doing that with, I'm going to use 3 different colors of the pen so you can see what 3 different colors look like. I'm starting with the pink color here, and I've been really working on my words and FreeMotioning my words, so I'm trying to add them to as many projects as I can this year. And this is like the turquoise blue color. There's actually two different color blues. The other one is more of a royal blue. And the last one I'm using here is the purple color. I have my sewing machine set up for FreeMotion. I have my FreeMotion foot on. I have my stitch length set to 0, and I have my feed dogs dropped. So I'm going to be doing the motion on this. I am using a brown thread today. When I start, I'm just going to go back and forth a little bit, and then I'm going to be cutting my thread. Another thing I forgot to mention is I do have a piece of the batting underneath. So I have the top piece that I'm with my words and my design drawn on, and then I have the fleece underneath, and that gives it a little bit of stability. If you don't use the fleece, and if you're doing a project where you don't want a fleece on the back of it, you can hoop it, which also is going to give you enough stability to be able to get your stitches on there. And here we go with the writing of the words. All I can say about this is to go slow. I have this sped up for video purposes 8 times, but when you're working on those words and just getting used to that free motion, just slow down and just take your time, slow and steady. My free motion is complete. And now to get rid of all those lines from my pens, it's as simple as heating this up. These are awesome for tracing a design and using it in the way I'm using it today. But just think about how many times you need to mark on your fabric. This is just such an easy way. It just disappears so quickly. So overall, I think it's going to make a nice marking pen. I haven't experimented a ton with different, like if it's going to go over dark fabrics very well or not. There is not a white, so keep that in mind. But for this, it's great. On to doing some coloring on this. I've picked out 4 different colors of my Inktense pencils that I'm going to be using to add some color. I may be adding more colors, but I'm going to start with these. One thing I love about the Inktense pencils is that they are ink. So once they're activated, they will they dry more permanent than, let's say, another watercolor pencil would. I am going to be activating them with a fabric medium, and I did a video doing some testing on this, and I'll link that up above. But that's what I am going to be activating this with, and I'm just putting a little bit of it into this lid. Now you can do some experimenting with this as far as putting the fabric medium on first and then doing the coloring. There's different ways you can do it. It's going to be more intense if you put the fabric medium down and then use the crayon to color over it, just because it's going to really make that ink immediately show up. I am putting a little bit of the fabric medium down first, and I'm not going all the way to the edge. I just don't want that to bleed into the fabric at all, or the fibers. So I'm staying away from the edges. I do really like the texture of the denim coming through on the different colors. And once I have the color on, I am going back and activating it again with a little bit more of that fabric medium. These are such intense colors, and it's really fun to work on. And now to the ironing. I am heat setting this fabric medium, and you need to heat set it for 3 to 5 minutes on medium-high heat. Just adding a couple more lines here. I'm going to be adding another strip of fabric to the bottom of these and just decorating these fronts a little bit and back a little bit of this pouch. Deciding this back of this pouch needs another little design, so I'm adding another heart, which I will be free motioning. Going to be stitching straight across, right sides together, and then I folded it down and top stitched that bottom strip. And FreeMotion that heart. And now for the zipper. Oh, I forgot to mention, I forgot to talk about the lining. I have two pieces of lining also measuring that 6 by 9. To put that zipper in, I am making a sandwich. So the zipper is in between in between the front and the lining. And I'm going to be stitching straight across. And this is what it looks like. So now I have to put it on the other side of the zipper, and so I'm making a sandwich on the other side with the lining, the zipper, and then the front of the bag. Getting everything lined up on the sides and also the top, and just using these little clips to keep it into place. I like a little bit of my zipper to show, so I don't sew right up to the zipper teeth. Now I top stitch that, and you have your little bag. This is such an easy way to make a bag because everything is finished off. There's no raw seams on the inside at all. To make that strap now, just folding in this long strip and folding it up. And then we'll be top stitching this or edge stitching it. That little strap is 1 inch below the zipper. Now for this next step, the zipper has to be open. I'm just lining up that lining piece and lining up that zipper. And that zipper, the teeth face downward or face towards the lining. And that's all you really need to remember is that that zipper is folded down so those teeth are going towards the lining. I want to leave a gap here on the lining, so I made some marks just to remind myself. And stitch all the way around and back stitch on that opening. Now just doing some trimming here and getting some of the bulk away from the seams and away from those corners. This little pouch is almost complete. This is such a quick little project. Doing some turning now. Just getting my fingers in there and poking out those corners and also that seam, or excuse me, that zipper. Getting my pokey tool in there. And opening it up one more time and getting that lining, and then we'll be closing up the lining here with just top stitching that. And here it is. I hope you enjoyed this little project. Hope you have a chance to create today. And happy Valentine's Day, everyone.